we are, talking about another loss. To make matters worse, the Astros also won the World Series on the same night that the Knicks lost to the absolutely hated, at least for me, Boston Celtics. But we're still going to talk about it. Episode 429, and welcome to the show. Not going to waste any time. You know where to find me. You know all that good stuff. Where to find the podcast, the blog, social media. You know where to go for that. The Knicks. Dropped a close one at home to Boston last night. Now the final score, 133-118 in Boston's favor at the Garden last night. The final score didn't indicate how close the game actually was. It was close. The Knicks were in it the entire way. Whoops. They just fell apart at the end. Shocker. Early on we got the news that Mitchell Robinson was out. He'll be out 7 to 10 days. Grimes is out again. I never felt optimistic about that. You still had Fournier coming off the bench. Cam Reddish started. The Knicks came into this one looking for their second straight win and looking to go 4-1 at home if they were to take that one. But, again, Boston said no, and they do it loudly. The Celtics break a franchise record last night in three-pointers made. The Celtics are a storied franchise. Just saying. And they do that. So, it's got to be pretty bad. And that was really it. That is the summary of last night's game. The Knicks could not score. They could not defend. They could not and did not, two different things, defend the arc again. A theme all year. The Knicks have, they have three guys score over 20 points in this game. The mid-three, as we call them, in Brunson, Derrick, and Randle, combined for 78 points. Shoot 57% together. The Knicks score 118 points. The Knicks shoot a slash of 51, 41, 94. Incredible offense from them. They ended up getting 2 more attempts from the field than Boston even. All that, yet they lose by 15 points to Boston and the Garden, the real Garden, because they cannot, and again, would not, defend the three. It was absolutely pitiful. Again, the Knicks were in it the majority of the way. Boston just pulled away in the final 4 minutes or so. The majority of the game, the Knicks were playing catch-up from within 5 points or so because Boston was just shooting in an open gym with no defenders in front of them. So let's talk about it. And there's only one thing to bring up. So this could be a shorter episode. Kind of wouldn't mind that. I have to get ready for work soon. Sunday, the 6th of November. The 3-point defense. I mean, that was it. Wow. The Celtics knocked down 27 triples last night, man. 27. And they shot 53% on those threes. Which means they went 27 for 51. And it's a combination of a lot of things as to why the 3-point defense is so bullshit. It's schematic. We've talked about that. But it's also team defense. Team defense, like communicating. Just guys out there getting absolutely torched on every ball screen ever. We don't rotate out when swing passes are made. And if we do, we're incredibly late and slow on those rotations. We're choosing to go under way too much on those ball screens at the top of the arc. We got guys just walking away from open corner shooters who just stand there with the ball. And to add to insult, Knicks players just stare at the guy and don't bother to sprint back up. Just 0-second effort. It's terrible. Terrible communication on perimeter screens. Like the Celtic pick and pop just destroyed the Knicks last night. Constantly working in that set. And yeah, it's again, it's also scheme. Those dribble penetration kickouts annihilated the Knicks, and that's schematic. The word is out. The word's out. Teams know how to break down a Knicks defense. All you got to do is drive, and the Knicks defenders will cheat off the perimeter and collapse the paint because we're so worried about sending every help defender we have to the ball. For some reason, we feel like we have to commit to the drive. Every off-ball defender, all four, committing to the drive. This is not the 90s. We've said this. This is not the 90s. It's not the early 2000s. We aren't playing the grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies teams that, that used to be a thing. No. These are very skilled, very streamlined, and modernized three-point shooting teams here in the year 2022. And I hate to single out guys, especially guys who did produce last night offensively. But Julius Randle, buddy. The offense has been better this year. But Julius Randle last night, the defense, buddy, it's got to pick up. I mean, he has been terrible defensively on his closeouts. Just making zero effort to get out and contest once that screen comes. Sorry. I thought we collapsed there. I thought we, my computer, my tablet, it flashed. I thought it was going to crash, so I had to pause it for a second. But where were we? Julius Randle, listen, he can be a decent on-ball defender. He can. But a lot of the time, as soon as that screen is set, he gives in, he doesn't rotate, he doesn't force that extra swing pass, and that screws up the rest of the rotations. He had a couple of moments in this game where he and Cam Reddish got completely crossed up, not knowing who stays home, who makes the switch. And it's just, you can't have that against a team who's killing it like the Celtics. It was extremely significant last night because you played a Celtics team who was playing 5 out on the arc. You got to know better. You got to be better. You just have to. I mean, the amount of times that whoever this Hauser guy was, the amount of times he was wide open, I think he went 5 for 8 from 3, but all 8 of those 3-point shots were open gym looks. Hauser, Brown, and if you're Thibs, how is Randle not on Marcus Smart the entire game? Especially with both Barrett and Reddish starting, which is kind of the point. Like, why wouldn't you hide your worst defender in the lineup on the non-threat in Smart? And you put your 2 better on-ball wing defenders on the 2 wing scorers that Boston has in Tatum and Brown. It should have been Cam on Brown while RJ had Tatum. Randle had Hauser. He had Brown a lot too. That to me made absolutely no sense. No sense. Also, Jalen Brunson. Great. We're going to talk about how great he was offensively. Defensively, he got torched. Again, he got torched. You're starting to see the negative effects of Jalen Brunson. He a lot of the time just has his back to the defender. He's very small, so he's very limited in what he can do. It's not always his fault. But in the first half, you had the miscommunication with he and Cam Reddish on that pick and roll. Nobody ends up guarding the arc, and bang, another wide open triple for Hauser. Even Emmanuel Quickly last night. Same thing on the guards. Gets beat off the dribble, and once that happens, you've got no Mitchell Robinson right now as that second line of defense. So once that happens, he's into the paint, and then all the other guys have to over-rotate, and it's just, it's they collapse and they kick out. It's a fucking chaotic disaster. It's a disaster. There was some positive. I think RJ Barrett was okay, and Cam Reddish did a very solid job last night on their assignments on the ball. Like, their individual defense, I will say, was pretty decent. Brown scored 30. Tatum scored 26. They're going to get theirs. But they defended them very well. They contested. They played hard, and they made them work. Especially Cam. I know Cam struggled offensively last night. And, man, it really sucks that he just can't find a consistency. But I think you keep bringing him out there. You keep starting him. I think the Fournier era has to end. Have Fournier come off the bench and get minimal minutes like he's been. I will credit Thibs there. I'm very, very... I think Thibs is finally seeing some light. But you keep starting Cam because we need his defense. We need his size, his length. It's just been so valuable each night, every night. And I hope eventually he can adjust and get used to being part of the offense now because he is playing alongside RJ, Brunson, and Randle. He's not running alongside Quickly, Rose, and Toppin anymore. Guys who are dominating the ball in RJ, Brunson, and Randle. It's a bit different. It's harder to get into rhythm. So he's going to need time to adjust. I just hope that he can find a way to become part of the offense. RJ also good on both ends. Offensively, he was great. He started out terribly. I'm not going to lie. The turnovers were a big problem. Sloppy, inaccurate passing led to 6 terrible turnovers. But he made his shots. 27 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. Shot 9 for 15, 3 for 5 from deep, and 6 of 6 at the line. He was getting to the cup and finishing all night. He was knocking down some open spot ups as well. 3 points seems to be coming around, hopefully. And his free throw game has improved a lot this year, so far. He was 6 for 6. He's now 81% on the season, taking 4.1 attempts a night. Another positive was Randle's offense was excellent. 29 points, 9 rebounds, 53%. He continues to be a bruiser down low. Still tries to do a little too much with the ball. I see a lot of similar patterns offensively and defensively. But the attitude this year is better. He's playing a little more efficient. I just hope we can get the ball to Brunson a little more going forward. They say, a Tiger never changes his stripes. We hear that a lot with Thibs. Same thing with Randle. We thought a point guard would help significantly. At the start of the season, it looked pretty good. But I think Randle's just going to continue to be Randle. But he's playing better this year. I will give him that. I'm not going to completely criticize him. I think Hartenstein filled in nice at the starting 5 spot. His hustle is always appreciated. He scored well on the interior. Had that one big energizer dunk late in the game to spark the Garden. Rebounds well. He went for 10 points, 14 boards, and he had a block. I am confused on one thing. I mean, like with Mitchell Robinson out and the Knicks on a back-to-back, you would think that, okay, now Obi's probably going to get some burn. This man ran out Randle and Hartenstein for 40 minutes last night. I think Hart got like 38. Obi, though, who was very hot in the second half, was it the fourth quarter or third quarter? I think it was the fourth, where he went 3 for 5. He made all 3 of his shots, and he still only finished with 50 minutes. And the second he gets pulled, the second he misses one 3-point shot, he missed that one wing 3. It was a good, clean, open look, too. It wasn't even a bad shot. The second he misses it, he gets pulled. And it continues to be a thing. One mistake and he's out. I don't understand that. We didn't even see Sims last night. You thought Sims, shorthanded, would at least be allowed to crack the rotation. He got 2 measly minutes. Cut in half from the 4 the night before. It's like Thibs is just gonna run a tight man ship. He's not gonna expand his rotation. He's gonna keep it 10 men and under. The second chance points kind of killed us too, which led to those 3-pointers. The stat sheets aren't going to show you that because the Knicks did end up getting more rebounds, but they were getting obliterated in the first half of the fourth quarter on the boards. If you watch that, obliterated. You had ex-Knick legend Noah Vonleh just eating down there on the glass. That guy Hauser was even snagging. Even Malcolm friggin' Brogdon was getting rebounds early fourth quarter. They were getting killed, and that's honestly what helped put the game away for Boston. All those second chance points led to 3s. The rebounding. You got to box out. You got to capitalize on misses. You cannot give a team who is... Hold on one sec. Why is this crashing? Sorry. That's like the second time. I mean, it's going to sound like it's one straight cut. But I had to pause the podcast again because now the power the lights just flashed. And I'm like, what's going on here? Jesus. What else were we saying? Now the dog's barking. I can't. But that's honestly what put the game away. Knicks not boxing out enough early in the fourth. Just got to cap. Like a team who is in the midst of breaking records, you can't give them extra possessions. You just can't. And the Knicks did. So we're going to wrap it up when we get back with our Bing Bong Ball awards. Who's getting the 2-game balls, one out of the starting lineup and one gets them out of the bench. And we'll give out our awards. So let's do that. Let's give out our Bing Bong Balls when we return from break. Stay with us. Be right back. Hey guys, so if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod. And you can also find me on Instagram at Rob J. Carbone. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to bd4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to bd4blog.com. Bing bang! Yes, Jalen Brunson gets a bing bong ball from us tonight. I debated not giving it to him, giving it to RJ Barrett. But at the end, I think Brunson was just way too great offensively. I'll give him that. And so was Barrett, but maybe I should have given it to Barrett. But look at the plus minus. I think Brunson's plus minus was pretty telling, just because of how efficient he continues to be as an offensive player. And I think that's what it comes down to. He was just super efficient, and he helped the Knicks. Without his offense, the Knicks, without him running the ship, running the engine, I don't think the Knicks are even in that game. 22 points, 10 assists, 0 turnovers. Shot 10 for 17. The ultra-efficient point guard. Discount Chris Paul, if you will. His transition game was excellent last night. He had the Knicks running fast again, especially in that second quarter, towards the end there. Didn't score in the first quarter, Brunson, but he found it in the second, working the pick and roll, working the dribble drive, and he got it going. And he's so good at getting to the rim and finishing. He may not be explosive or super athletic, but he makes quick moves, and he has such masterful footwork. I mean, that one little quick crossover was absurd last night. Going to the rim, awesome. Little Chris Paul. But it's also just so nice to have an efficient mid-range game on this team. Somebody with an efficient, consistent mid-range shot. Randle's very erratic from the mid-range. RJ occasionally will shoot that mid-range, but the turnaround jumper. But Brunson is just super consistent there. He's a legitimate mid-range threat. So I thought he was good there. He applied pressure on the Celtic defense all night, who were just completely lacking on the interior. That's where the Knicks got their points. They shot well from 3, but they were doing a lot of work in the paint. So as bad as Brunson's defense was, I think his offense was the reason that his plus-minus was better than both Barrett and Randle last night. So I think he deserves a bing-bong ball. As well as off the bench. The bench wasn't that great last night, too. It was hard to find one. But I gave it to Derrick Rose. He gets a bing-bong ball. Bing-bong ball off the bench. Bing-bong! Bing-bong. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist last night for D. Rose. Shot 2 of 3 from the arc. and he played 14 minutes. He did good. He didn't play a ton, but he made the best of those 14 minutes. Entered the game, and he got to work really right away. Quick finishes, pull-up three-pointers. He's improved that three-point shot so much since he's, as he's become older. Made nice passes, and he rebounded pretty well. So he pushed the pace. He did good, So that's really it. Not much to pick apart. Just the three-point defense last night was just some of the worst I've seen in the world, and it's got to pick up. In the end, I get it. It's the defending champions, the Boston Celtics, and it was a close battle the entire way. You're shorthanded, so I'm not too upset. But now, going forward, the Knicks they got to tighten up the defense. That's been a thing all year. It hasn't been adjusted. Thibs is showing some flexibility now, getting more creative with the lineup combinations, but it's up to the players too. Listen, at the end of the day, this roster has middle-of-the-road talent. It's a lot of decent players, no great players. So the coach can only do so much. I think if Thibs did do better, if he was more flexible and, if his schemes were more modernized offensively and defensively, then yeah, maybe the Knicks have a couple more wins. You're right. I'm not on the fire Thibs boat, though, because I think at the end of the day, the majority of it is from that front office just compiling a roster of middle-of-the-road talent. And when you're middle-of-the-road talent, when you're a team with middle-of-the-road talent, you got to capitalize in games you're supposed to capitalize. So the Knicks' losses this year have been tough losses. The Grizzlies, the Celtics, and I forget the other two, I'm pretty sure they were against tough teams. But their wins have came against teams that they needed to beat. An empty-handed Celtics team, and so if they continue to, if they keep beating the bad teams, I think they'll be okay as far as making the play-in, and we'll see what's up there. But it's just they're in this no man's land where what's that gonna where are they gonna go? They still need a star, so hopefully they can attract one and win some games. But staying in the moment like we always seem to stray from. Here on the show, we always seem to just talk about the future all the time. The tough schedule is over soon. The next 4 games is Minnesota, New Jersey, Detroit, and OKC. So you have a shot there to get at least 2 wins, hopefully. Preferably 3, but we'll see what happens. And that's it. We're going to wrap it up with the question of the day as soon as we get back from break. One last break. Stay with us. We will be right back. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Welcome back to the show, episode 429 of BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day tonight, or this afternoon rather, is true or false? After his tenure with the Knicks, the great Earl the Pearl Monroe finished his career with the Baltimore Bullets for a season. True or false? After his tenure with the Knicks, the great Earl the Pearl Monroe finished his career with the Baltimore Bullets for a season. Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. If you do not get the answer correct, then I will DM you the answer if you at least attempt to guess it in the next show. Before the next show. Guys, that is it. The Knicks once again lose 133-118 they score. They shot 51%. They shot 41% from 3 specifically, 94% at the free throw stripe, 22 assists, which, not that great, but the offense was fine. It was very good. It was one of their better offensive performances. They continued to push the pace and try to modernize their offense a bit. At least they shot the ball well for a change. The defense was bad. But hopefully that can change. Hopefully they step it up Monday night. They go to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. All right? That's a team I'm pretty sure we need to beat. I don't know how good they are. But, yeah. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.